have no idea how this is gonna taste. Not too bad. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is my first official day of summer. I will see if this shirt is still available. I got it from Etsy before my Cricut days have taken off. So previous year, but it might still be out, so I shall see. Just made myself some cold brew and I wanted to talk planning, specifically planning for a larger amount of time, so like a month or a quarter. I think I might do my planning in 2-month sections, which I know sounds really insane, but I was looking at like the next few months and like the rest of the year basically, and I was like, all right, well, these months I need to work on this, these months I need to work on this. And so 2 months might be my new thing, because it just kind of works out well. And then next year I have plans for something fun that's gonna be like a 4-month cycle essentially. And so I need to make sure that I'm prepared for that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What we're talking about is planning for larger amounts of time when you're like, I have so much going on. And I know that sounds really funny because you're probably like, Becca, you just said it's your first day of summer. I know, that's why I have so much going on, because I for months have been like, oh, I need to do this over the summer, I need to do this over the summer, I need to do this over the summer, and my list just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it's like, holy cow, that's a lot of stuff. How am I gonna get it done? So that's kind of what we're talking about today. Now I actually went through this, like the first half of the process yesterday. Today's gonna be a make it pretty kind of day, but I wanted to kind of talk through what I did to kind of get me to this point. And for this, I just used like a random blank notebook. So this one is just, well, I mean, it's an Erin Condren because y'all know how I feel. But it's a brand new one and I just pulled it out and got to work. So let's talk through the steps of kind of planning things out. And I will share some of the things that I'm planning to do specifically, but we'll talk about like kind of breaking down big goals, figuring out what products to make, especially because I need to figure that out right now because I did not do that yet. And then kind of how I'm like organizing it all to help myself out. Normally I make a video that I'm like, these are the things I'm doing this summer, and this year I'm not making that video because I feel like I say that and I don't do any of it, and I get to the end of the summer and I'm like, I didn't do any things I said I was gonna do. Now this year I think is going to be different, specifically because the last few years I have been so tired that I really needed the summer to recuperate. 2 years ago was the year that I kind of flirted with burnout and got real close to things being really bad. And so that summer I like couldn't keep a schedule, couldn't do things, couldn't get things done. Like I was like, I don't know what is wrong with me. And then later on, looking back, realized that was the problem. I'm much better at figuring things out after the fact. Also, I just came from the pool, which is why I'm a little bit flushed and my hair looks ridiculous. A normal, a real YouTuber would get themselves together, but I did not. Anyway, so that was 2 years ago. Last year I was going to a new school, and so I was like really tired from that year, plus all of the indecision and all of the things being up in the air. Like it was just a lot. This year I am feeling so good. Like I have never gone into the summer already feeling good and like fairly rejuvenated. I did take this weekend where I just did like basically nothing, especially yesterday was Memorial Day. Husband was home and we just, I mean, we did a few things. Like I did fold the laundry, but for the most part I like read and wrote my journal and watched TV and got in the hot tub and like just chilled out, and it was so nice. And I also did this, so I feel like this year is gonna be better. Okay, so that's like my preface. Now, step number one, this is gonna be specifically to people who are business owners, which I'm assuming you are. If you're here, I talk mostly about like side hustle, productivity, goal planning, that kind of stuff. And so most of you typically are in that realm of things. And so the first thing I did was I went through and I really tried to map out my next big goal. specifically money-wise. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I find it really hard to be like, I'm gonna, you know, make this much money in this month, because there's so many things that you just don't have control of. It's really hard to like put a timeline on things. So instead I was like, okay, my next goal, whether this is in 3 months or 6 months or, you know, a year, is this figure. I need to make this amount of money so I can pay myself this amount of money. And that came out of figuring out, honestly, there's some vacations I want to take, and also I need to pay off debt. And so I came up with a ratio of like, if I put this much on debt, I can put this much into vacations, backtracked that, figured out how much money the business needs to make in order for me to make that money. And that's where I arrived at my goal number. From there, I kind of broke it down into my different income streams. And so I mean, is there any reason not to show? I guess not. So I just decided this is my goal number monthly, which is insane at the moment. Hopefully one day I'm gonna look at this video and be like, I can't believe that was the goal. But right now it seems like insanity, because that's way higher than what I currently am. And the idea is I usually pay myself half-ish. And so, so this is where I currently am. That's kind of on the low end. It's usually more like 15, 17. The fall will be better than the spring was. It just depends. But this was like last month and the month before, so I went with that. So this is the goal. And then I just wrote out my different income streams and what I would like them to be. So kind of based a little bit on different things. So like courses, I need to make $2,000 a month in order for them to pay for the amount that I spend on the course platform. So that's where I got that number from. And then I just kind of played around with numbers until I got to what would add up to my goal amount. This obviously is subject to change. I have no idea if this is realistic or not. Actually, I know it's pretty realistic, but it's subject to change. You know, something might take off more than something else. It is just kind of, it is what it is. So currently this is like what I'm shooting for in each area of the business. And I just like having that as like in my head where I'm going, and then I can figure out my focus. So from there, I then looked through, hi, nice to see you. Are you having a good first day of summer? I know, she's inside and not going and chasing the lizards, so not that great right now. That is her new favorite pastime. Tali is also over here, but she's just laying down. And then, okay, so figure out like my goal income, how that would be broken down. If you have more than one income stream, I would highly recommend you have more than one income stream if you've been doing this longer than a year. But that's a conversation for another day. And then after that, I kind of went through and brainstormed action items for each of the different things. And I color coded them. I need you to take your hand off me, please. Thank you. No, get off of me. And I color coded them. And y'all, I finally broke in. I finally gave in and I got flare pens. And I do like them. Kind of wanted to not like them, but I do actually kind of like them. If nothing else, they're pretty and we like that. So I used, those are the ones I used. And so I just went through and I was like, okay, if I need my courses to make X amount of money, then what do I need to do in order to make sure that they are making X amount of money? Well, I need to update my sales page so that my conversion rate's better. I need to send more people to my sales page, so I need to send more people to the content that talks about it, as well as talking more about it on social media, and trying to move people that way and really get my funnels figured out. So those are like action items for growing the courses. Then like for my Bible TBT shop, that's something I'm really pouring into this summer. I have blogs written for it and I really want to add some new products to it. For that one, I'm going through and I put my action items there. I need to make more products. I need to make bundles with those products. I need to make content that goes to there, and frankly, that's really all. So just kind of going through each thing and being like, okay, how would I go about making it there? And then some things needed more mapping out than others. So for example, with my teacherpreneur stuff and trying to really help people build their TPT shops and do things that way. I want to make it a little more streamlined, and so I was like mapping that out and kind of coming up with my action items out of there. The most important thing out of this is when you are looking at all of these things, you come up with action items, because those action items are what you're actually gonna do. And if you don't have things to do, then you're not very useful, and that's where you don't get things done, because you don't actually know what you need to do. So if I'm like, okay, I need my, you know, TPT courses to do better. Okay, how do I do that? Well, I need to make sure that my funnels are good. I need to make sure my sales pages are good. I need to send people to my courses. And I came up with like a better way to do my funnels to make everything nice and streamlined. And so out of that, I have those action items based on those things that I'm looking through in there, okay? If you can break down your goals and your plans into action items, you will be successful, as long as you actually do them. But that's really the key to planning, is to make sure that you have an actual plan based on action items. And so make sure that you have things that you can actually like check off. Now, after I had all that brainstormed, I went through and made a list, and I organized things, and I color coded them, because y'all know how I like color coding. And so I have all the different things that I need to work on for the most part. I also added some fun things and some things around the house that will also need to get done, because although I do want to get a lot of work done this summer, I also want to have fun. And so I want to make sure that I'm not missing that. And specifically, like, I really want to paint, because I keep saying I want to paint and I keep not painting. So like, that's something I want to do. And then I want to, you know, so I wrote down like, not just like, oh, go paint, but I wrote down like, make this painting, make this painting, finish this painting that's halfway done and sitting on the table. All of those kind of things, just to make it a little bit more streamlined. So this list I'm now going to put into my bullet journal, and that's going to become my summer list. So this morning when I went through and I was trying to figure out what I need to do this week, and today I was looking at this list and going through here. Now the hard thing is you do need to prioritize, because there's a lot. I mean, you probably are not as crazy as I am, but I have a lot of stuff on this list, and I know looking at it, it's probably not gonna all get done, and that's okay, but I want to get as much done as I can. And so I really need to prioritize and think like, what needs to get done at what point. So looking at it, I can already see that I need to add one more thing that I did not put here, because I need to record a training. So I add that to the list. So I know that I need to look through and decide kind of what's the most important, and especially kind of batching like tasks. So for example, I have an email course that I'm creating, and that's the main priority right now, because it's coming out soon. It's coming out the first week of June. In case you are interested, I will link it down below. It will follow the model of, it will open the first week of June and then it will close, and then you won't be able to get in until it's all done. So this first group of people will get things incrementally as I'm creating them over the summer, and then when you, in the fall, it'll open up again, and then you'll be able to get everything at one time. But just FYI, if you see this like the first week of June is open, if you see it after that, it will not be open for a few months, but just FYI. So I'm looking and I'm like, okay, that's gonna be, you know, the main thing right now. And so kind of trying to figure out like where in my schedule I'm gonna put things and all that good stuff. There's just so many things to think about, because you do have to get scheduled. Like, I'm thinking I might do my Bible lessons after, like in the evenings. Okay, now what products do I need to bake? That's a good question. So I want to start with products I have that I've already started. So like the other day we learned about Jesus healing the lame man, and I made a little craft to go along with it. Great, it's already started, so that's one that I should finish because it's already started. I also kind of want to make things really nice and like going together. So I'm gonna have quite a few products. So like we did a whole series on Elijah and Elisha, so that's a good one to do. And the Baal prophets, the oil, and the bread. Catchfish on the other side. That's one of my favorite stories. So looking first at things that I've already started, that is important. The next thing I'm going to look at is things that are going well already. So I want to look at the store and see the top things. Jesus baptized. Oh, that's free. Battle of Jericho. Moses. Okay, so looking at this, I'm seeing a lot of seasonal stuff. Shocker. And I'm also seeing a lot of like the Jesus miracles ranking really high. So that tells me that those might be things to lean into a little bit more. And are we doing, what type of product is doing the best? Bundles. We do like when bundles do well. Okay, activity sheets are doing better than printable books. Good to know. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna look through and find 3 more that are close to being done, and then let's put this into my bullet journal, because if you're like me and you have random lists in random notebooks all over the place, it's really hard to actually check things off and get things done because you'll forget where they are. So I'm putting this in my bullet journal where I keep everything, so that way I know that I will actually know where to find it, which we do appreciate. So I need to go here and I'll show you when we're done. All right, so here's how we turned out. It's really, I just copied everything down. I did add over here a timeline of the summer so I can just kind of keep track of what is kind of the main focus for each week. I'm probably gonna have like a main focus and then like a secondary or like a side quest, because I have a lot of things to do on here, and some of them are things that are not necessarily something that needs to be a main focus, but they still need to get done. And so I actually already went through and made out like a tentative weekly plan, and in that tentative weekly plan have, you know, sections where I'm like, okay, here's where I can film, here's where I can work on like main important things, here's where I can work on other smaller things, and just kind of going through all of that because it can be a lot. So my goal is to spend quite a bit of time each day working on checking things off this list and kind of doing I would love in a perfect world to have like 2 hours of like work on whatever I need to do, and then like as like my main thing, and then 2 hours of like other stuff. But it's gonna depend honestly on the day and what I've got going on that day, because you know the most important thing about summer is that none of this can cut into my pool time. Okay, priorities. I'm only half kidding. Anyway, I'm gonna go and finish my coffee and make some lunch. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope that this was at least a little bit helpful just in terms of looking through and trying to decide what you might need to do and kind of figuring out that kind of stuff. And just remember that like when you're planning, you can make whatever time frame you want. So you can plan for a quarter, you can plan for 6 months, you can plan for whatever. And if 2 months is what's gonna work best for you, that's great. So for me, I'm like 2 months to work on these things, and then 2 months that I'm gonna be really working on updates and making some specific products for Becca's Music Room, and then 2 months where I'm going to start working on our super secret project that you'll find out more about later because it's a next year problem. And I don't want to say too much. I'm really excited about it, but it's gonna be really big. And so this year, honestly, the main goal for this year, the email course is a little bit of a side quest, but the main goal for this year is to get Becca's Music Room like doing really well, like updated, things don't make me cringe, you know, like all that kind of stuff, so that then I can kind of focus my attention on other things. Hello, like Nyla. Okay, so I'm gonna get started on my list after lunch, and right now I'm gonna make lunch and talk to this crazy, and I will see you later.